In August 1935, agricultural officers in Queensland, Australia, released about 2,400 cane toads into the sugarcane fields. The toads had been imported from Hawaii to eat a beetle that was destroying the crop. It seemed obvious. Beetle eats cane, toad eats beetle, problem solved. The toads barely dented the beetle. It lived high on the cane stalks, mostly out of reach, so they never controlled it at any meaningful scale. But the toads bred. Their skin was toxic enough to kill many of the native predators that tried to eat them, and they spread across the north of the continent. 90 years later, there are an estimated 200 million of them, and they are one of Australia's worst ecological disasters. The officers solved the first-order problem perfectly, in their heads. What they didn't trace was the second order and the third. Every decision has an effect you intend, and a chain of effects you don't. Second-order thinking is one question, asked past the obvious answer. And then what? Last episode, Wildcards blindsided people. Here's a secret about some of them. They aren't bolts from the blue at all. They're delayed consequences of an earlier decision, arriving so late the causal trail has gone cold and no one connects them back. Not all wildcards work this way. Plenty come from geology, biology, or pure chance, but the ones that do were, in a sense, baked in the moment the first link was pulled. Back in Module 1, we said everything is connected to everything else. That's systems thinking. Second-order thinking is what you do with that fact. If the world is a web, then every push travels along the threads. First-order thinking stops at the thread you touched. The system doesn't stop there, so neither can you. So the tool is a ladder. For any change, you climb down the consequences one rung at a time. And I'll show you the two forces that make the lower rungs surprisingly predictable. Then run the whole thing on the coffee plan we've been building all module. Take a real one. A city has a congested highway, so it widens it. First-order effect. More lanes, more capacity, traffic flows. And then what? The extra capacity makes driving easier, so more people drive and more people move out to where the new road reaches. Second-order effect. Within a few years, the highway is jammed again, sometimes worse. Houston's Katy Freeway was widened until the whole corridor, main lanes, frontage roads, and managed lanes together, ran past 20 lanes. Within a few years, travel times had gotten worse, not better. That's the whole discipline in miniature. The first-order effect is the one you intended and the one everybody argues about. The second-order effect is how the system responds to your response. The third is how it all settles once everyone's adjusted. The nasty surprises almost never live on the first rung. They live 2 and 3 rungs down, which is exactly where first-order thinking refuses to look. Two things make lower rungs less mysterious than they look. The first, incentives get gamed. People respond to the reward you set, not the intention behind it. For years before the scandal broke in 2016, Wells Fargo pushed its staff to hit aggressive cross-selling targets. First order, cross-sell numbers soared. Second order, employees cornered by those targets opened millions of accounts customers never asked for. Later investigations put it in the range of 3.5 million. The bank hit its metric and detonated its own reputation. The second force, feedback loops and time delays. Effects loop back on their own causes, and they often arrive late enough that we blame something else. That delay is why second-order effects feel like ambushes. They're not fast, they're just slow enough to lose the trail back to the decision that started them. Here's the cleanest example I know, because you can walk every rung. In 1970, Egypt completed the Aswan High Dam. First order and all achieved. It tamed the Nile's floods, generated power, and let farmers irrigate year-round. Then the lower rungs arrived. The Nile's annual flood used to lay down fertile silt across the farmland. The dam now traps that silt behind it, so farmers leaned harder on artificial fertilizer to replace what the river once delivered for free. That same trapped silt no longer reaches the coast, so the Nile Delta, starved of sediment, began eroding into the sea, with salt water pushing inland behind it. And the reservoir itself displaced tens of thousands of people who had to be resettled. One dam, several rungs down, effects that were underweighted, unevenly understood, or borne by people outside the original ledger. Now aim it at our own plan. All module, we've been moving coffee to new highlands to survive the climate. First order, supply preserved, cup saved. And then what? If adaptation means clearing intact highland forest to plant on, that releases carbon and strips the slope. Second order, you'd worsen the very warming you were adapting to and dry out the watershed the coffee depends on. That outcome isn't inevitable. It depends on where the new trees go. But clear the forest and the fix feeds the problem it was meant to escape. Third order, the smallholders pushed to the new land are the least able to weather a failed watershed, so the adaptation that was supposed to protect them puts them at more risk. The fix, done without looking 2 rungs down, becomes tomorrow's crisis. This is exactly the kind of failure the pre-mortem points at, and second-order thinking is why it happens. Which doesn't mean don't adapt. It means adapt with the lower rungs in view, plant on already cleared land, protect the watershed, put the resistant stock in the hands that need it. Same goal, minus the self-inflicted third act. Second-order thinking is the antidote to solutions that become tomorrow's problems. And it's the rung that makes the whole toolkit click together. Scenarios show what might happen, backcasting shows how to reach what you want, the pre-mortem shows how the plan fails, and second-order thinking shows what your fix will set in motion once the world reacts to it. 2 habits carry most of the value. First, ask and then what? At least twice, and don't just name the next event in the timeline. Ask the sharper set. Who changes their behavior? Who gains? Who pays? What gets scarce? And what loops back later as feedback? The first answer is the one you already believed. The second and third are where the toads are. Second, before you remove something that seems pointless, ask why it's there. That old rule, that odd buffer, that inefficient step. Someone may have built it to hold back a flood you can't see from here. You will never trace every rung. The ladder goes down forever, and past a certain depth you're guessing. The discipline isn't omniscience. It's refusing to stop at the first rung just because the first rung told you what you wanted to hear. 2 rungs of honest thinking would have saved Queensland from 200 million toads. The toads did exactly what toads do. They didn't fail, they thrived. The failure was human, and it was small. Someone stopped thinking one link too early at toad eats beetle, and never asked what a self-sustaining, poison-skinned, predator-free population would do to a continent. The whole disaster fits in the gap between the first rung and the second. So here's the one to drop in the comments. Think of one obvious fix in your world, at work, in your city, in your own life. The kind everyone agrees is common sense. Now ask 2 questions. Who changes their behavior because of that fix? And who ends up paying a cost the person who chose it will never see? Put the sharpest answer below. 1 honest rung down is usually all it takes. You've now got 4 tools, scenarios for what might come, backcasting for where you want to go, pre-mortems for how you'll fail, and second-order thinking for what your fixes will cause. Next time, we stop taking them one at a time. We put all 4 on one real decision and run the whole thing, start to finish. a full scenario from scratch. Live.